So the first one is sine. So we abbreviate sine with S-I-N, but we still say it sine. We don't say sin. And sine is always the ratio of the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse in reference to the angle that you're working with. So it's always the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. The next one is cosine. So we abbreviate cosine COS, so we still say cosine when we see it. And cosine is always, you take the adjacent side length and you divide by the hypotenuse. Whoops. And then the last one is tangent, abbreviated TAN. So tangent is always the opposite side length divided by the adjacent side. And you might be wondering, how am I supposed to remember which, ratios go with which names, sine, cosine, and tangent? And this is how. You have probably heard someone say before, SOHCAHTOA. Have you heard someone say that before? No. Well, now you have, SOHCAHTOA. Okay, so that's your little memory trick. So SOH stands for sine is opposite over hypotenuse. CAH stands for cosine is always adjacent over hypotenuse. And TOA stands for tangent is always opposite over adjacent. So that's your little memory device to remember which ratios go with which pieces. SOHCAHTOA. Okay. Okay, so here's how we use it. We can use these ratios to find missing sides of triangles because the cosine or sine or tangent of a number will give us a ratio, like 0.6 or something. And we'll have some number that we already have a side length for, like maybe 10. And essentially we're asking the question, what number did I divide by 10 so that I got a ratio of 0.6? So this is what trig does for us. It helps us go backwards and find the missing side length that we were missing. So on to the next page, and we're going to start at the bottom to start with simpler problems. All right, okay, so on A, first we're just going to identify, are we working with sine, cosine, or tangent? So it's always in reference to your angle, so we're doing this in reference to the 42-degree angle. So here we have the hypotenuse. We have 18 on the hypotenuse, so I label it H. And X is the adjacent side. So if you're looking at the previous page, which one, sine, cosine, or tangent, works with adjacent and hypotenuse? Cosine, yeah, the CAH and the SOHCAHTOA. Cosine works with adjacent and hypotenuse. So this guy is cosine. So if we go down to the blank space below it, we're going to use cosine to solve for X. All right, so we always say cosine of our angles in degrees, so cosine of 42 degrees. So that ratio is equal to the adjacent side, so X, over the hypotenuse, so 18. And so now we're just going to solve for X, because once we solve for X, we can just type it into our calculator. So how can I get X by itself? What should I do first? Multiply by 18 on both sides. So times 18 times 18. So the 18s cancel on the right, and I'm just left with 18 times cosine of 42 equals X. Okay, so now in your calculator, you can just type in 18 and then cosine of 42 and then enter. And we'll just round to the thousandths place, so 13.377. So X is equal to 13.377. Okay, so let's do another one. So on part B, we're just going to identify what sides we're working with. So we have the hypotenuse, and we have the opposite side, because 9 is opposite of the 28-degree angle. So which one, sine, cosine, or tangent, works with opposite and hypotenuse? Sine. Okay, so sine is always opposite over hypotenuse. So down here, I'm going to say sine of 28 degrees equals the opposite, so 9, divided by the hypotenuse, so x. Okay, so now we're solving for x. It's a little bit trickier this time because the x is in the denominator. I like to think of this as sine of 28 over 1, because then I can just cross multiply. So if I cross multiply, 9 times 1 is 9. And then x times sine of 28 is just x times sine of 28. And then our last step to get x by itself is just to divide by sine of 28 on both sides. So your sines of 28, those cancel out. And we're left with x equals 9 divided by sine of 28. And that's what we put in our calculator. So x is 19.170. Okay, any questions so far? All right, you guys try the next one. Go ahead and share with your group what you got. All right, so did you guys choose tangent for this one? So x was your opposite, 4.5 was your adjacent. So tangent of 65 equals x over 4.5. So multiply by 4.5 on both sides. So 4.5 times tangent of 65, and that's what you plug into your calculator. Okay, so 9.650. Did you guys got? Yes. Okay, awesome. Okay, let's try one more, and then we'll check in and see how you guys are feeling about this. Okay, so back up to the top one. Instead of reading it all to you, I will summarize what's happening in this picture. Prince Charming is climbing up the tower, a ladder to the tower, to get Rapunzel. We want to know how long his ladder is, so that's our variable. The vertical distance up to the window where the person is 150 feet. And the angle that the ladder makes with the ground is 70 degrees. Okay, I'm going to let you guys try this one too. So work with your group and see if you can figure it out.
So it says close, right? It's opposite of where it's sin. Or side or whatever. Sin.
All right, go ahead and share with your group what you got if you haven't already. Okay, so this one was sine. So the hypotenuse was your variable. Opposite was 150, so sine of 70 equals 150 over x. Once you solve for x, x is 150 divided by sine of 70. So you should have gotten 159.67.